Good day buddies. Hope you're doing great out there. More than a year ago we tried to design an ambitious project, an ant farm which will offer bioactivity like on a terrarium, while still offering a visible nest, a pleasant view to an ant colony underground, which most normal terrarium can't offer. Anyway, we're maintaining the setup for 22 months now, and it's overgrown like this. With their help of this prototype, we found the things we must improve to make this dreamlike setup to work. The biggest flaw from the past is our plant choice, cause the root size is so thin and the root growth rate is so slow. Look at that growth rate in almost 2 years, they're still on the upper chambers. So thin that they can't even block the roots pathway that we carved. We can probably use this in another 5 years, if we wait for the roots to access up to the lower nest. No worries about that problem anymore, as for today's video we will be using a fast-growing plant or a tree that can get root-bound easily in just few months, which will help in making our ambitious project into reality. Before we start the build, allow me to appreciate the coolest guys on our channel. Jeffrey Miles, Sean, M Pro Gamer, The Hunter Chick, and the newest one Commander Falks. Help we got the name right. Thank you so much for supporting the channel's future project, and making every episodes possible. Thanks so much also to our buddy, Gary Martinez, for sending us a super thanks worth $25. Let me also say welcome back buddies. And for those new to the channel, you're also welcome to Decolony. For this build we are using an acrylic container, which will serve as the pot for the plant, and the medium to contain the ants on the underground nest. This is the same size as the container we use on the previous Tahil ant farm replica. On that vid we should be making a 2-outworld for the 2 nest, but this one came with a broken lid so we'll use it here instead, as we'll not be needing a lid for this build. First time laying a sand to create a water catch basin or a reservoir, and create a free space for the 4 feet which will elevate the nest, using a silicone tubing for the job of creating space for each foot. And it looks like this afterwards. If you want a water tower we should build it next at this time by installing a mesh like this. We're not doing that here, but if you want one, you can check this videos here and on the description on how you can easily install the water tower. Anyway, we'll set a tubing at the center for the pot's drainage, then pour our medium which is sanded grout for the base layer. I don't want the nesting surface to be as flat as this, so we're dropping some grout to create little elevations. Top it with sand for additional texture. I was supposed to build the whole nest in one day, but unfortunately I need to do something unexpected this day, so I have no choice but to let this base layer dry first and continued the project the next day. Since it's dried already, we need to at least wet the surface for a better bonding between the concrete layers. The next step is the cave construction process using a moist sand, which is so easy by just molding the sand on how you want the cave to look like. I made a single looking cave like this, which has too many caves at the back. For the OGs you know the drill. We're making stalactites design using a pointed object like this pipette to make it more cave-like. Then we constructed a cave on each remaining sides. We also connected every one of them by making a tunnel in between. We just need to install the tubing next for nest ventilation, blocking it with moist tissue paper to avoid filling it later. We only installed 3 vents, as this one will have the nest entrance as form of ventilation. Then we'll just fill those tiny holes first for the stalactites design. Then fill the remaining space next with our sanded grout mixture. We can use a longer tube for the drainage at the center, but we can also connect it to a sand up to the top to make sure there's a way for the water to go down. Then we just completely covered the 4 caves. Anyway, we also made a smaller one here, which I plan on using on my big-headed ant colony who just lost their bioactive setup after letting it dry for 48 hours. We'll now continue the project. The problem at this time is I'm not sure if we can remove the nest on the container in one piece intact, since the base layer had been made and dried first, so they might get separated while we're trying to remove the nest. But thankfully they come out as one. Let me just clear all the sand and rinse it with water quick. Pretty good chambers. Then we just need to carve pathways for the plant roots to access the nest. Then we just need to replace these tubings with our DIY vent tubes, to allow proper ventilation on each nest if needed. It's been 48 hours so it's pretty hard now, but it's just rootways we're carving so no problem at all. We finished it in several minutes. Anyways, you may notice a similar approach on this tank at the back, which is our bonsai and ant farm project that I posted on our members tab a month ago. This is a content for the future so stay tuned buddies. We'll now put them back on their respective containers, which we drilled hole for entrance and installed acrylic pipe for more secured tubing connections going to the outworld. As we'll be using additional container for the foraging area, this way the ants won't have access to the substrate, as they will surely nest there, if they can. We'll explain it further after completing the build. Anyway, we need to make sure the vent tubes is long enough to reach the top of the substrate or open air, this way it will functions well. We'll just block it with a loose cotton to prevent the substrate getting inside. For the drainage, I've prepared vent tubes here with a fiberglass mesh to block the substrate on falling below. But change my mind and use sphagnum moss instead, which will also hold moisture as well. We'll scatter some on the sides so we could somehow tell the moisture level of the substrate. Now let's add the substrate, which ratio is below the screen. It's unusual for our normal terrarium substrate, as we've added more dirt and sphagnum moss to the mix so it'll stay moist for a much longer time. We'll just fill half of it, then meet the plant species or the little tree we're using to improve our pot nest project. This is called our gaudagat locally, and I just hair-layered this plants from the main tree which is the bonsai material I'm working with. These roots are just 1 month old, but look at how dense they are. I'm sure they'll be root bound in the pot nest in a month or 2, which will make it a living nest capable of bioactivity, so we can expect an immediate update in a few months. Anyway, I like how the tunnels connecting each nest looks like a real one with the reverse U appearance. Of course watering their plant will provide moisture to the nest below as well. Just be careful on watering so you won't flood the nest, especially at this stage that the roots isn't blocking the pathways yet. so the water might run straight through them. Just let the substrate absorb enough moisture for the plant. I decided to cut down some of the branches on the bigger plant, as they won't fit on the shelves where I'll be keeping the setups. Don't worry, as it grows new branches after just few days. And our living ant farm is now complete. And how its function is very simple. The tree through its mighty roots will access the caves, where an ant colony will nest into. Even if this colony is a messy species, let's say they poop and dump waste on the nest. Worry no more, as the little tree will deal with the little waste of our pet ant colony, and absorb it to grow new leaves, more branches, or to spread its roots even further. Of course, with the help of cleanup crew like springtails, which we will introduce to the setup before the ants. As I've informed you how easily the plant spread its roots, expect us to move a colony here in a few months for further testing. But I'm pretty confident this is almost the final form of the project. My only worry is if the roots will also fully occupy the space intended for the ants. Which we'll gonna find out soon. Another worry is for this smaller pot nest, as the grout here feels soft when I carve the root ways. I'm sure cause we use a leftover grout here, and because it's already started drying, so before we pour it we mixed it with water again to make it pourable. That's the only reason I can think of why it became so easy to carve, but I hope the ants won't dig on them so easily. That may lead to them breaking out. So, stay tuned buddies, as I've never been this excited for a build in a long time. I just hope you have learned something from this video guys. Be a genie for the first time, by granting my wish and tapping the like and share button, that would help a lot. This is D Colony, saying goodbye. For now. But hoping to see you on my next videos.